Hey folks, this is Vince with Dad's Gaming Addiction, and today we're going to quickly check out Evergreen, the board game. This is a digital adaptation that you can find on Steam for about $5 or so. There are two DLC packs that you can buy. They're about $1.50 each, and on top of that, the entire package is 15% off right now. The core game is 15% off, the two DLC packs are 15% off, so you can get everything for like less than $10, which is great because board games are expensive nowadays, and I'm sure this one's, what, 30, 40, $50, something like that, not including the extra stuffs. So anyway, Evergreen plays a lot like photosynthesis. In photosynthesis, you're kind of seeding trees around a board and scoring points in a unique way. Photosynthesis is a very unique game. Evergreen does something similar in that regard, but with its own twist. Now, I will say you'll want to come to the rulebook and check that out if you can, because the in-game tutorial is awful. In fact, when I got done with the in-game tutorial, I went to YouTube and watched a couple of how to play videos, because this game does not do a good enough job in acclimating a new player to the game. I don't own the board game. This was my first experience with it, so I got confused. I went online, and that made a lot more sense. Watching that and then coming back here and then playing a game, it just made a whole lot more sense. Also, again, there's an in-game rulebook, you can read here, but I just find the video is just easier. So long story short, maybe watch a couple of how to play videos. There are no like UI like helpful interactions, like there's no like mouse over tooltips, for example, that will teach new players or remind new players as to what something is. So that's another bad thing. I think the developers need to go back and like make the game easier to understand and learn across the board. So anyway, let's go ahead and jump into it. You can play solo against the AI. You can play local if you want via remote play. So there's like split screen multiplayer. Or you can play, like with bots, or you can play with other people, which is great. There's offline and online modes. I'm just going to go ahead and create a new game here. And like I said, you can add actual players and pass and play. You can go to the online service and log in through the Horrible Guild account or whatever. And Horrible Guild being the developers of this game. And you can play with other people that way. And then you can add bots. Right now there's easy and medium modes. And that's it. It looks like harder bots are coming soon, quote unquote. I'm going to go ahead and add a second player so I can show you some examples. I'm not going to play a full game. It takes too long. The DLC packs can be chosen here. There's this Cacti expansion and I think the Pines expansion. All that does is these are card powers. And you're going to be drafting cards in this game, and each card allows you to take a power, and these icons will be listed on these cards. Well, you can interchange, like swap out these two, for example, for the two DLC ones if you want to. That's where those DLC packs come into play. I'm going to keep the core game going for right now because I'm most familiar with it. Each player will have their own player board, unlike in photosynthesis. So each player is trying to develop their own player board of Earth, which is split up into different biomes. And again, they're trying to earn the most points possible. So the way this game plays out, it's played over 4 rounds. Like in Wingspan, the number of rounds will change based on what round it is. In the very first round, out of 4 rounds, you'll get a lot of turns. Whereas in round 4, it's only a couple of turns. During setup, and this is a really strange setup, the way this is, but there's 6 different biomes, as you can see here. Every player's planet has 6 different biomes. There's a fertility row on the very top. There's the green grass, I guess the red, whatever that is, yellow. So cards are going to be drawn randomly at the beginning of the game until a certain number of these dots appear. And you're going to split them into their own separate category. In this case, there's 7 points toward this brown mountain biome over here. This affects endgame scoring. The more trees you have in that biome at the end of the game, the more points you earn. It multiplies. So if I have, like, say, 3 trees, and then there's 7 points at the end of the game in that biome, 7 times 3 is 21. I'm going to score a lot of points. So I'm trying to put trees into biomes that are going to be good for me, lucrative, because of these endgame scoring goals up here. Okay, more points will be added and subtracted up here as the game goes on. On the very bottom of the screen, it says choose your card. So if I click on one of them, now there are 2 wilds here. This is a really bad example, but typically cards will be of a particular biome color. So this green one, for example, Okay, that's an example of a biome card. Each player, starting with the start player, is going to draft one of these cards. The white one is a wild, and that means you can take your actions anywhere rather than be constricted to the biome card that you pick. So if anyone picks the green card on the right, they have to take their actions in the green biome, which is in the upper right here. However, if you choose a white wild card, you can take your actions anywhere you want on your player board. Okay, so there's that. Now you'll notice there's a little skull on the very top of this card. That actually affects the numbers in the fertility row. That green skull cancels out the last card played in that biome. So the way it works is this. Each player drafts a card, and then whatever's left over goes into the fertility row. There's going to be little dots on the top of these cards that will contribute toward points. However, there's a skull one, which is what you see here, that cancels the last card that was added to that fertility biome column. So you can actually lose points in that column by playing a skull there. The number of cards in the row is the number of players plus one, so there's always going to be one left over. That leftover card goes into the fertility row. Just to keep the game moving, I'm going to go ahead and choose, I don't know, I'm going to choose that one there. And then the second player is going to choose one of these leftover ones. Now you'll notice there's a leaf on this particular card. Whenever the first player chooses their card, whatever the leftmost card is on the row gets a leaf added to it. If that player chooses that card, then they become first player on the next round. So there's that. Just for fun, I'm going to go ahead and choose that one. Actually, no, I'm going to choose that one. That's fine. Okay, so once a player has drafted their card, and everyone's drafted their cards, now you're going to take your turn. And you can take one of 4 actions. And there's also a special ability on these cards that are on the bottom of these cards as well. It's kind of hard to see, but there's a little tree down here. And different cards will have different symbols on them. This tree means that I can grow. There's 3 stages to a tree. There's a sprout, which is where you have to start at. And then sprouts turn into small trees, and then small trees turn into big trees. This big tree bonus lets me turn a small tree into a big tree, but it's probably not going to help me out here. We'll see how that goes. So I'm going to go ahead and say that action. This action allows me to plant 1 sprout and then upgrade a sprout into a bush. That's the only way I can really use this ability here. Because it's a wild card that I chose, I can put it in any biome I want to, and because the mountain biome has a lot of points right now, I'll put it in here. So I'm going to go ahead and choose this action here. And the other actions, by the way, are plant 3 sprouts. This one is plant a sprout and upgrade a tree. This one in the upper right is upgrade 2 different trees. And the one on the bottom right is put a sprout or upgrade, but in any biome that you want. In the event you don't have a wild card, you can use that to do that anywhere. But I'm going to go ahead and choose that one. And I'm going to put a sprout there. Then I'm going to upgrade it. Oh, it has to be 2 different ones. Of course it does. This is a really bad example. So I just, yeah, I mean, this was a really bad turn. Let's just go ahead and skip that turn. By the way, to end your turn, you have to slide this from left to right. That is the worst design decision I've ever seen. I couldn't figure out how to end my turn in the tutorial. So hopefully this person's turn is a bit better. So he's going to go ahead and plant some sprouts. And again, with a wild card, he can go anywhere. He'll go 1, 2, 3. And he's going to use this bush ability. The bush ability pretty much allows a player to connect big trees together that are separated. And this is good because it kind of like Ticket to Ride's longest route. You get points for having a forest, which is a set of trees that are connected. So once these sprouts become trees, this bush will connect these together, and this player will score a bunch of points for that, which is great. Now, I should note that as you play cards with these powers on them, they get more powerful over time. So, for example, I had the ability to put 1 bush down so far. But after I play more cards with bushes on them, I'll eventually get to this number 2 down here. That means I can play 2 bushes for that turn. Same thing over here. So, this is a bonus sprout power. The first time I play a card with that power, I can put 2 bonus sprouts down. The second time I play it, I can put 3 bonus sprouts down. The next time I play that card, 4 bonus sprouts. So like an engine builder, these powers get more powerful the more you play them. Okay. So there's that, and then I'll go ahead and I already played that bush ability. We'll just end the turn there. And now we're into a new turn. We're on the second turn of this round, and they're going to, let's see, draft again. So again, we're going to draft one of these cards. At this point, maybe not that one. This one here gives you just victory points, which is great. Let's do this tree over there. We'll do that one. This player will choose that one, because why not? All right, so now we're going to do the same thing here. This player is going to play the card that they just picked. They're going to get victory points, which happens automatically. They get 1 at the beginning of the first time they play that card, but then later on you can see they get more victory points the more they play that particular card power. So he's going to choose, I guess, to plant some sprouts. So we'll do 1, 2, 3, and turn. And then this player is going to do the same thing. This is a wild, so he can put sprouts anywhere he wants. He's going to put some sprouts down. Maybe he'll do 1, 2, and I don't know, just maybe over here 3. Okay. And then with his bonus ability, he can turn one of those into a small tree, which he'll do something like that. End his turn. Now, one of the big things about this game is there's a sun, and it starts in the north quadrant. This will go to the east quadrant on the second round, the south quadrant in the third round, and the west quadrant in the fourth round. And that will cast shades. Well, the trees that you put on your tableau will cast shades. If you overshadow a tree or sprout in this game from a lesser or from a greater tree or equal tree, then you don't get any points, which is awful. So I'll try and come up with some examples as we continue playing this. But larger trees or equal trees that cast shadow over equal or lesser trees will, those equal or lesser trees will not earn any points at the round's end. So you're trying to avoid shadows from being cast on other trees if at all possible. Or if you can't help it, you want the smaller trees to cast a shadow on the larger trees so you don't lose any points. All right, so let's do again. So again, cards left over with these little dots on the top will go into this fertility area. So let's say that no one drafts this card on the right at the end of this turn. 2 points will be added to the green biome. And whoever has, again, at the end of the game, if you have a lot of trees in that green biome, you're going to score more points. So there is some strategy in what cards you let go into the fertility row. Letting this brown one go into the fertility row gives it 9 points for the end of the game. That's just super powerful. Whoever has a lot of trees in brown is pretty much going to win the game at that point. But I'm going to go ahead and just choose, I guess, that one. It's fine. Actually, I've already got a lot there. Yeah, nah, you know, that's good. We'll take it. And then the other player will grab, I don't know, I guess this green one, because good example. Okay, so with the brown one, instead of putting more sprouts down, we'll expand the trees that we have, like do 2 upgrades, so 1, 2. And then there's a bush ability. We'll go ahead and play that there, and that'll connect these. Now, this bush ability has a little world symbol on it. You can actually play that bush anywhere you want. Anytime you see this little world symbol, that means you can place these bushes or the waters. I didn't cover the water one, but you can pretty much place your abilities anywhere you want to. So there's that. And then we'll end our turn there. And then this player is going to go, he'll just put some sprouts down because 1, 2, 3. So tall trees will cast a shadow of 2 spaces and small trees cast a shadow of 1. If this ever turns into a big tree, if the sun is ever in the north here, it'll cast a shadow down on top of this one, and this won't get any points. But again, the sun's going to go from here to here, and then down here, and then over here, so I don't think that's going to be a problem for this particular round. And then this water thing, what that does, whenever you put that down, it will automatically let you upgrade adjacent sprouts. So that one and that one. Same with small trees. You can turn these into big trees. So these just allow you to expand these trees a bit and grow them, and that way you earn more points at the end of the round. So that's the gist of this game. Just players will continue drafting cards and trying to grow their own little personal board. They're going to be using the abilities on these cards to do extra things. And again, the powers will grow the more you use that particular power type, which is great. Any cards that are not drafted by a player go up into this fertility row. And then that will adjust how many points that particular biome is worth at the end of the game. Now that skull one, it had a skull symbol on it, but it turns into a little triangle for the video game adaptation. That will remove the last card played to that column. So if a brown skull were put up into the fertility row, this 3 dotted one would go away. And this row would only be worth 4 points rather than 7. So there's some strategy in what you're drafting. There's some strategy in what you're letting go up into the fertility row. And there's also strategy in if you want to focus on a particular biome, great, but do I really need to use a special ability? Is it going to be helpful to me? That kind of thing. And this will continue until 4 rounds are played out. And then points will be scored across a number of different ways. Again, small trees will earn points, big trees will earn points. The largest forest or the largest connected forest, you'll get points for that. There's just a number of different ways you'll score points. So again, there's more information in the rulebook, but I highly recommend checking out the how to play videos, because the tutorial in this game is awful. There's no UI mouse over tooltips. That's also a negative thing. So but here's the thing. This game is only $5. Okay, $5. It's really hard to pass this up, because even though I got a press key for it, $5 is very, I don't know, it's very attractive to me, considering that the price of board games nowadays, it's like you go to Kickstarter and $80 to $100 is like the new normal. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. I'd rather pay $5 to $10 for, okay, maybe this digital adaptation is not as good as it could be, but I'm also paying 50 to 75% less than I normally would. You know what I mean? I'd rather pay for the digital adaptation that isn't perfect, as opposed to the board game that is $80, whatever it is. So, Evergreen, I do recommend this digital adaptation. It could be better. Technically, it could be better, but I enjoy the overall gameplay flow, and I look forward to playing multiplayer with other people. And again, I'm glad that there's bots as well, because if you just want to practice on your own, or if you don't have any other people to play with, that's a thing. And again, the game does have remote play, so you can play local with other people that are halfway across the world if you want to. So there you go, folks. That was Evergreen, the board game. Again, the digital adaptation. Great value for what it is. This is Vince. Thanks for watching. I'll catch y'all next time. Take care.